Hey guys, Christine here from Rabbit Trails Homeschool, and I wanted to show you what literature-based science could look like in your home. Because when it comes to science, it might be a little confusing as far as what kind of books should you be using in your homeschool so that you're making sure you're getting a really well-rounded science lesson, curriculum, whatever you want to call it. So as you probably know, all of our units are literature-based. So everything that we have for kiddos to learn from is coming straight from books, especially in our science. So we use reference books as the spine of our science. And so this is where when you have a lesson in front of you, we will say, turn to this page and read about these things. And so that is exactly what we do. And so to me, reference books are very different than textbooks. When you have a textbook, that textbook is telling you facts. It's telling you exactly what that publisher wants you to learn, but only from one perspective. And usually it's in the place of great books. And so to me, reference books are different. Reference books are a jumping off point. And so we might have some information about whatever it is. So in this case, we have snakes, okay? So we're learning about snake scales here. And we're learning about how snake shedding happens. And so there's diagrams. That's what I really like about these books is there's diagrams, there's full color, there's all of those great things for kids to look at. And yes, there is just little bits and pieces of information. Oh my gosh, that egg diagram is so cool. I love the diagrams that you find in science reference books. And so that's why I love them as jumping off points, because we aren't saying read this one book and you're going to learn everything you're going to know about crocodile eggs, right? We are saying here's an introduction to it. Let's go further down that rabbit trail and learn more about it. I also have this cool bird one that we use in our bird curriculum that just has just a little bit more information about birds. And so it's like a great that you start in the one book and then you jump to this and get some more information. And I just love it. And that it gives just those little tidbits, that it gives those amazing pictures, that it gives diagrams and vocabulary. So this is like, this book's really cool because it has them all in bold, and some of our other reference books that we use with our curriculum also have the words in bold. And then it's great because then you flip to the back and then it's gonna have the glossary for you. And so I love using that. All of our units, we also have vocabulary words for our science. And so they're able to easily find that stuff in the back in the glossary, which I love. So when you're doing like history, I feel like the history reference books aren't quite as good because you're needing more when it comes to history. And so I don't love those reference books as much. I feel like there's actually greater depth through picture books and chapter books than a lot of the reference books for like history topics and whatnot. But I love them for science because of those diagrams, because of how they're able to tie in what they're seeing in those amazing pictures into their vocabulary. And it is, to me, a really great jumping off point. And then obviously, you know me, you know I love picture books. So obviously, great picture books are also really good to use for your science units. And so a lot of people are like, are picture books really enough? Yes. Oh my goodness, guys. Like there's so much you can learn through picture books. There's so many beautiful books out now that are all nature-based. These ones go with our physics and our engineering. Even our middle grade, we have picture book suggestions because we are learning about things like a lot of this stuff won't be in a lot of reference books, but these tell a really great story still. So I do not discount picture books when it comes to science, as there's still 5 picture book suggestions in every lesson of every one of our science units. And so there's just amazing information, and in a way that children actually absorb as well. I also love pocket guides and field guides. And so I pulled out a couple that I have from my shelf. And these are great because if you are out and about, you can bring them with you because they're usually pretty small. This one's a pretty big one. I don't even know where I got this. I don't know if my mother-in-law gave it to me or if I found it. I don't know. This one's a pretty hefty one, but it's still not too big, right? So I'm not carrying around like my big reference book with us when we're going places. But if we were out like herping or something, we could bring this with us and we could easily have it in our pocket. I even have a cool, I couldn't find it on my bookshelf, but I have this cool laminated one too. That was all about different sharks' teeth. And so if we went to the beach, it was laminated. And so obviously it wouldn't get wet, it wouldn't get ruined, and it's something we could bring with us to the beach. I also have this cool mammal one that I think I'm gonna buy. This is from the library. And I love that it, it has the easy table of contents in the front, and then it just has stuff about these specific animals just to get a little bit more information when we're going through a mammal unit that we can look and get those facts. Because again, those reference books are just going to be a starting off point and a good jumping off point. And my kids are like, but what about this animal? But what about this animal? And so I love that this has more of them in here, including humans, so that we can have a good jumping off point and being able to dig a little bit deeper into the specific animals that my kids want to see. So having those little pocket guides and field guides are really, really handy. Last but not least is chapter books, is novels. That don't discount a good novel when it comes to science. That a lot of times people just have that mentality, right? We need to have our textbook and we need to have our workbook, and that is it when it comes to science. And I just don't believe that. I feel like there can be so much more that you can get even from chapter books and novels when it comes to your science. And so we have a middle grade list. I can drop that in the comments. It is free. It is on our blog. A middle grade list of novels and chapter books to go along with every one of our science units. So especially people who are wanting to do it for multiple ages, they can easily click on that button, go to that link, and see our full list, so that even if they're doing one of our units that's meant for elementary ages, but they want to add a read aloud, or they want to have their upper elementary child read a novel, or maybe they're wanting their middle schooler to do that along with them and they're wanting something extra for them, we have that for you to make it super simple. So I'll drop that in the description as well so you guys can have it. But absolutely adding read alouds. We're going to be doing this as a read aloud in my home this year with my kindergartner and my fourth grader. These bring so much value still. And like, this is probably the only read aloud we're going to do with our science unit this year. But when I had my middle schoolers, who are now high schoolers and college student, when I had them doing rabbit trails through science with us, I was having them read lots of novels on the side to still make it age appropriate for them before we started making our middle grade sciences, which still have chapter book suggestions with them as well, because we want to just make sure that if you have an avid reader, that we have book suggestions for you. And so those are the 4 different types of books that I use in my science instead of using a textbook. So if you have any great titles that you would like to share, please put them in the comments. I would love to see some great book titles, whether it is reference books, whether it is picture books. And if you want to see all the different reference books that we use for rabbit trails, you can head to our science page. Every single unit starts with a reference book. And so we use this Explanatory of Nature for all of our nature-based units. And then we use different reference books for things like weather and our prehistoric science and our space, and our homesteading and all of those different things. And same with our middle grade, that they all have their own reference books to start with as well. So you can see everything that we already recommend. But if you have one that you're like, oh my goodness, you can't miss out on this, let me know, because I love books and I'd love to see what you guys are using too. So I hope that that is helpful and that you're able to see, kind of think outside the box a little bit when it comes to teaching science in your homeschool, and how you can have real living books be a part of it and not just the textbooks that are out there. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me.